Thank you very much, Senator Benoit. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Let me first of all recognize my colleague ministers and of course my fellow parliamentarians, including our very own Isaiah Benoit. Let me also recognize in our presence a former Minister of Government and of course a Member of Parliament for many, many years, the Honorable Ambrose George, who served this constituency with much distinction, I think. And also Miss Sonia Williams, Auntie Sons, also a former cabinet minister. Let me just say it's a pleasure to be here in Newtown, and I mean it's really a pleasure to be here. When I look around, in fact, you would have seen me whispering to the Honorable Prime Minister on his arrival that whether the election date was announced, and I didn't know. Because the last time you remember a setup like this was on the Bayfront PM when the last campaign was launched, if you remember. So I really want to thank the organizers, of course, for this really elaborate setting, and of course, thank you for inviting me, Isaiah, to speak tonight. And of course, this is the continuation of our town hall meetings, where for the past month or so, especially within this calendar year, the Dominica Labour Party administration would have been going around in every nook and cranny of the country, bringing positive vibes to the people. Because when we bring people together as Labour Party, we bring love to you. And not to gather stones, not to burn down buildings, not to destroy property. And even if this constituency is not one that is being held currently by the administration, as pointed out and so eloquently described by your very own caretaker, Senator Benoit, this constituency has not been left out in the last election in the nation's development. Honorable Prime Minister, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't write it down because you were not present when I made, and of course, your lovely wife. My most humble apologies, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. So here we are bringing the message to you in the Roseau constituency to update you, of course, on our plans and programs, and most importantly, of course, to hear from you. Because while you think it's important that we come and update you, let you know what we've been doing, but we also think it's also even more important to hear from you, to hear your ideas, of course, your constructive criticism. Because we've always said that we, at the cabinet level and the government level, we cannot think of everything. And you'd be surprised at some of the bright ideas that would come from the audience and from you, the ordinary Joe Brown on the street. Of course, we are in a pre-budget period, and I want to borrow a phrase or an idea from the Honorable Reginald Austrie. In fact, I was tuned into the Next Level program on Saturday evening, and I heard the Honorable Austrie calling the program, and he said that that's the very first time in the history of Dominica that we have seen so much continue to happen in a pre-budget period. And I think this is noteworthy, Honorable Austrie, and while maybe much wasn't made of it, we still see so many things happening in this period. Road rehabilitation all around the country. Washroom program continues. Small business. The National Employment Program. And in fact, just 2 or 3 days ago, I witnessed the handing over of free boats, brand new fishing boats and engines to free fishermen in the Lubia community. And I want to thank the Honorable Isaiah Benoit for his service. Because even if he's not the elected member of Parliament, he thinks that his work in the constituency, the Roseau constituency, is commendable. And we need to really put our hands together for him. Because as a young man in politics, I know it's not easy. The pressures are many. This is a young man who would have gone out to educate himself, and he could have come back and settled down in an 8-to-4 job like most of us. Instead, he has chosen to make this great sacrifice to be a caretaker in a constituency as diverse and large and very difficult as the Roseau constituency. So I say that to let you know that you should have a lot of patience with him, help him, those of us who think we are more experienced on the political scene, help him, talk to him, and I'm pretty sure that we will see him grow from strength to strength. And I think he has a proper start already. And if his presentation tonight is any indication of what this man is made of, we can look for Isaiah for many, many, many more years to come in the political scene. So I'm here tonight to speak very briefly. Honorable Isaiah, there's very little I can say after listening to the Honorable Senator. But just to give a brief account of my stewardship as the Minister of Health and Environment. Of course, after the 2014 general elections, yours truly was very humble to be given the reins, to be chosen to lead the health sector of Dominica. And I think it would be remiss of me if I don't spend a few minutes just to give a brief account of my stewardship thus far. Of course, we know that they always say that the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. So it's a very important sector that yours truly was chosen to lead. And we can't speak about health without talking about the new national hospital. A $48 million project, a gift from our friends, the People's Republic of China. And I think we need to put our hands together for these people. Because in addition to so many things that they have done, and right to my immediate back is another indication, another visible and tangible sign of the friendship and the cooperation of the People's Republic of China to the Commonwealth of Dominica. And of course, this hospital, much has been said about it, even prior to the start of construction of this new hospital. We saw so many things, calypsos being composed on this new hospital, posts on Facebook about the old PMH. And Papa Body, I tell people, I mean, how can you be a bona fide Dominican and you go about the current Princess Margaret Hospital and take off pictures of the hospital and post on the backyard, the storeroom area, and post on social media for the world to see? We know that the PMH is in a very deplorable condition. This is why Papa Body will be leading the hospital. So I'm hoping, and I'm really hoping that the very same people who were the ones posting the scenes of the old PMH right now, that they are right now posting on a weekly basis the progress that we are making, because progress is happening at the Goodwill site. And we want to thank our Chinese counterparts, the Chinese construction company, for the progress that they're making in the hospital. And we're hoping that come October of this year, that with the first phase of the hospital will be completed, and we'll have a brand new accident and emergency department, what we refer to as a casualty, and also a brand new radiology and lab, etc. section. So come October, we are going to turn the keys and commission the first phase of this hospital. And we have no doubt, especially the fact that a Chinese construction firm is the one engaged, that come at the end of the 30 months, as stipulated by the contract, that we will have a brand new hospital, complete and ready for use. So we continue with the project, and as I said, good progress. In addition to the new building, spanking new building, as my friend Ian D. from Portsmouth like to say, we also will have new equipment that we never ever had before in Dominica, an MRI. This is stuff that we would have had to go overseas to do prior to this administration and this new hospital. A high-frequency ultrasound to treat cancers, tumors, etc. We are also undergoing a very rigorous training exercise at the Ministry of Health. We have over a dozen of our sons and daughters being engaged, being specializing rather in new services, oncology, nephrology, you just name it. So in addition to the new building, new modern equipment, we're also going to have a cadre of well-trained specialists. So we're not saying that we will take care of all your health problems, but the need to travel overseas for medical attention should be less come the completion of this new hospital. But we are also saying that all of this would be quite almost useless if the everyday Dominican cannot access these facilities and these services. And we all know the tremendous cost of healthcare, especially in small island developing cities like ours. In fact, all across the world, even more so sometimes in the so-called mature and first world countries, which is why your government, and because of the caring, and again, Senator Bean mentioned it, because of the nature of this government, humane and very, we reach out to the marginalized and the less fortunate. And governments before, and not just in Dominica, in the region, and much more mature economies would have spoken of what we call national health insurance and universal health coverage, meaning that each and every individual, each and every citizen of any country would have the right to free health care. So while a lot have been spoken, lots of volumes, if you go to my office, there would be books and documents dating decades ago as it pertains to national health insurance. But it had to take this Roosevelt-Skerrit-led administration to actually implement a national health insurance program in Dominica. And, and while we take this for granted, we heard a representative from PAHO recently speak to it and speak to how impressed he was that a small island developing state such as Dominica could undertake such an initiative. $5 million being put to capitalize this national health insurance program. $5 million. And we're talking about in a post-disaster period. And this is significant because while in a lot of other jurisdictions after a disaster, you will find government spending down on, cutting down on spending, asking its citizens to make sacrifice. Here we are, this Labour Party administration, after Erica, where we had $1.4 billion worth of damage, lost almost 100% of our GDP. Here we are initiating new programs, and we see roads being built around the island like never before, washroom programs, support to small businesses like never before. And this is commendable. And of course, I'm sure the speakers after me will speak to the source of this funding, the much talk about CBI. And we have to thank God for the CBI program. We have to thank God for it. Because after tropical America, when we would have come to our citizens who had to make sacrifices, to take pay cuts, etc., we haven't done that. Instead, we have seen a flurry of activity, which is why I think the point made by Reginald Osher on the Saturday night program is very commendable. That's the very first time in Dominican history we see so much happening, especially in a pre-budget period. But this is the Dominican Labour Party, led by a very dynamic and visionary leader, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. And then we will continue to look for more and more innovative ways to continue to bring development to our country. In addition, of course, to the new hospital, we also have a number of new health facilities carried in this financial year to be built at Newtown, and we'll speak to Newtown a bit later, Coliho, Viecas, Bellevue, Chopin, 4 new health facilities to be constructed in this new financial year. And the much talked about also and somewhat controversial new Marigot Hospital, which is also set to be built, or that this construction started in this financial year. And again, we want to thank the Mexican government for their kind donation of $5 million US, 13 million EC dollars towards the construction of this hospital. And I want to announce that plans are in advanced stage and we should see work started in this financial year. And again, we could spend the rest of the night speaking to a number of initiatives, especially initiatives assisted by our foreign friends. And a lot of this would be done because of the friendship that has been forged by this Labour Party administration with a number of foreign entities. We can speak to our Cuban friends, and the much also talk about and much acclaimed I Can See Clearly Now school program, where all school children, both primary and secondary, are being screened, and their body mass index are being taken to check on their nutritional state. And those found wanting are going to be given a new pair of glasses, complements the Government of Dominica. All school children within the primary and secondary school system. And we are being ably assisted by our friends from the Republic of Cuba. The Mission Milagro, where we had the first phase, where our patients were flown to Cuba. Right now, the Venezuelans are in Dominica, and to date, over 300 surgical interventions have been done, treating people for cataracts and what they call pterygium, the growth-flex. And yeah, thank you for your exuberance, my lady. Over 300, and these are people that their eyesight, they had lost their sight or they were in the process of losing their eyesight. And we have a number of testimonies as to the people where the eyesight would have been partially and in some cases fully regained. And we want to thank the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And this is important. It's important, especially bearing in mind the internal turmoil that Venezuela is undergoing right now. And we want to pray, those of us prayer warriors, for the political and economic stability of a once great country, Venezuela. So while they continue to reach out to us in spite of the internal problems. So we will continue to help our people at the Dominican Labour Party. As I said, this is a hallmark of this administration, because the last time I checked in Dominica, we were a democratically elected government. By the people, of the people, and in bold letters, for the people, which is why we'll continue to use the resources, whatever means we have, the CBI, whatever resources, we will continue to use it to develop you, the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And we make no apologies for none of our programs. No regrets, no apologies for helping small business. We make no apologies for the washroom program. a program that the opposition laughed about, but we know the importance. I don't have to go into detail, the importance of having an indoor washroom facility, and especially in the rural areas. Maybe the urban areas, the problem is not so acute, but I can tell you in some of the rural areas, the discomfort that some of, especially our senior citizens, have to go through in using an outside facility. So while it might look like a very modest initiative, a washroom, what is a washroom? But to some people, it means a complete change of their life and also sanitation. We make no apologies for the National Employment Program. We make no apologies for committing to rehabilitating all community roads by the end of 2017, because it's your government, it's your resources, and we are spending it on you. So when they call you all sort of name, beggars, whatever, tell them it is your government resources, our resources, that is being spent. Again, I want to commend, in closing, I want to commend Senator Jaiza Binwa. As I said earlier, a young man who went on to educate himself, people, and we want those of us more experienced, hold his hand instead of trying to bring him down, because listening to him tonight, I think, methinks that he's doing a tremendous job. None of us are perfect, all of us need help. I've been in this for 7 years, and I think I need a lot of help myself. Not all of us need help, okay? He's young, but there's no denying his exuberance, and his heart is in the right place. So hold his hand. And as I said, let us continue to pray for the success of the CBI, ranked first in the Caribbean in the recent polls. So that means that we in Dominica, we are doing something good in terms of the due diligence and all of this. And let us continue to pray that the CBI continues to bring in much needed resources to develop a very difficult to develop country like Dominica, given our topography, etc. Because our people are depending on us for more small business assistance. There are a number of roads. We heard Jaizia Benwa mention $4.1 million worth of roads in the Roseau constituency needing rehabilitation. So we have to continue to pray for that. And the CBI program, more importantly and closer to home for me, the Pitted Servant Resettlement, a project that is set to cost over 100 million EC dollars. Where else in the world after a disaster would the government find that type of money to resettle over 800 citizens? So I've told my constituents, and I think it's very close to me because I'm from Pitted Servant and we know what happened in Pitted Servant, Tropical America. I've told my constituents, especially the few of them who's aiding and abetting the opposition to talk their Beatties. Beatties is part of our nonsense. I was about to use a stronger word, but I'm on national radio. Talk their nonsense. That while they're aiding and abetting to the opposition in talking the nonsense, trying to cry down the CBI, their very survival and future depends on it. Because other than that, the government will have to tell them, well, go back to Tisavan and debut your cause. So, those of you understand. So as long as God continues to bless this program, as long as God continues to bless this administration, we will continue to give back to our people. And I know God will continue to bless us because the Bible says, Ian Douglas, God loves a cheerful giver. So in closing, I want to thank you for listening to me. I really want to wish you well. I want to wish you well, Senator Jaiza Benwa. And we can spend the rest of the year, the rest of our lives talking about what happened last elections. But just to let you know from our end, from the Labour Party end, that we are patiently awaiting the clarion call, Mr. Prime Minister, when the roll is called up, when the roll is called, to welcome the Roseau back into the Labour Party fold, back into the Labour Party family. I thank you very much.